got to get this over to you on some biblical text to help us release our grip from this anxious attachment. Okay. And I first want to go to Psalm 27:10. We got to be quick here. Psalm 27:10. This is a massive one. And this is going to be in relation to just the whole concept that we started this whole conversation off with, right? Understanding, though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. And it's just this capacity to understand that even though your mother and father weren't who they thought they should have been or who you thought or needed them to be, even though they did not affirm you, validate you, even though you felt neglected, you were not affirmed in your identity. There were so many stages of development that you feel underdeveloped in, and you don't ever skip the stages of development. You are underdeveloped, right? They're slower because there are certain things that you were not given as a child, right? You weren't given that affirmation. You weren't celebrated. You weren't loved. You weren't cared for. You saw love as an inconsistency. Maybe you were the child who had to turn around and take care of your mother and father because they were on drugs or because they were sick, right? Because you had to be the one to cover all the bills. You had to be an adult at your teenage years. You had to be an adult taking care of your parents when the parents should have been the ones, right? But because of their inability or ineligibility, right, you had to step up. And so there's a lot that you were missing, and there's a lot that's gone missing. But I'm wanting to tell you that what your mother and father failed to do for you and how they failed to show up for you, God is the fulfiller of such. That's his promise. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. That's the beautiful promise that we are able to hold on to as believers, knowing that the Lord has the capacity to fill what my parents may not have given me. I know my parents neglected me, but I will never be neglected by my Heavenly Father. I know that my dad wasn't around, my mom wasn't around, but hey, my Father is present. I know that I didn't get the attention that I thought I needed. I know that I wasn't loved and appreciated and celebrated like I needed. And it led me down these paths where I kept performing for other people. But the Father reminds us through Psalm 27:10 that not only will he have us as we are, but he loves us as we are. We're welcomed into his arms as we are. And he is the fulfiller of what we thought we lacked the entire time because of what our parents didn't give, because of what our parents weren't, because of what they didn't do, because of what they failed to do. We get to depend on the Father. And we get to literally rest in him because really our souls are the ones that's screaming. Oftentimes we're trying to figure all this out externally. And really the key is that our souls are thirsting. Really quickly, women ask this question at the soul level: am I lovable and who will love me? And when this question is not initially answered, what they do is you go after beauty, comparison, performance, sex as a measure to prove your worth, to prove that you are lovable. You convince yourself that if I have sex with him, then he will love me. If I give him everything he wants, then he will love me, right? This all comes from a performance-based, right? And the breakups that happen, the separations that happen, you begin to question if you're qualified to even experience such a love. All stemming from asking this question that your soul desires. Men, it's different. Men ask, am I worthy and how will I prove it? And so again, when you're not celebrated for just simply being who you are, and the celebrations only came when you succeeded, only came when you won, only came when you elevated, when something happened, then that's training you to believe that you have to continue to what? Perform in order to what? Be loved. Now, your performance, our performance shows up different. Maybe it's through money, status. It's through success. It's through the job and workplace. It's through the muscle gains that we try to accomplish in the gym. Ain't nothing wrong with none of those things individually. However, when it all comes from a place of trying to prove that we're valuable, that's when we're wrong, because the Father reminds us again in Matthew 3:17 that we are his sons, we are his daughters, and he is well pleased. And the performance in you can be healed when we actually look to the Father who restores us holistically, not just mentally and emotionally, which is important, but also spiritually, because oftentimes our souls are what's hurting most. Yes, we're feeling it mentally and emotionally, but there's a thirst our soul has that only Jesus himself can fully quench, that we've been running to other men, other women, other beds, other legs, other money, other status, other things to fulfill. The Father fulfills this for us. Okay? That's the biggest thing that I want to give to you. I want to give you two more scriptures to really help this make sense, because we've already referred to Matthew 3:17. We referred to Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 6. I want you to look at 1 Corinthians 13. Now, I could spend forever on this, but again, I'm already out of time. So I want you to look at this, 1 Corinthians 13. And this is the entire love chapter. Okay. And I've actually have a whole series breaking this down. I probably should redo it because I think there's a lot more I can give to it, especially with as much as we've kind of learned recently. But this is what I want you to see. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. This is so beautiful because love in and of its essence, as we talked about earlier, is incompatible with hurry because what? Love is patient. We also learn that love is an open hand. Love is not clingy. Love is not chasing. Love is not performance-based. Love is an open hand. Because in order to experience a love that is patient, in order to experience a love that is kind and doesn't envy and doesn't boast and is not proud, it has to be a love that allows you to be chosen just as much as you choose those whom you love. And the greatest love is proven through Christ, who chose to go to the cross, died for the sins of humanity, you included, that we may have life with him. He leads us in the example of what love looks like. And he says love is a choice. Not love is a choice in the measurement of how culture might put it and how LGBT might put it. No, it's love is a choice. Love is a choice because love without the choice, without the decision to nurture the emotional stirring that one is occurring, makes love a mockery, makes marriage a mockery. And the only way that love can even exist is in a world where free will exists, the ability to choose. Okay. And so we have to be okay with people not choosing us, even though we may choose them. And the greatest part about letting that happen is knowing that whether or not we're chosen by them, we are already chosen. It's all about an awareness thing, y'all, where we understand that we are already chosen by the greatest love. And this is what gives us the capacity to love from a place of peace instead of chasing love for peace. Loving from a place of peace instead of chasing love for peace. When you learn to love from a place of peace, you're willing to accept all no's for the one right yes. When you love from a place of peace, you don't find yourself chasing after people to prove to them why you should have been chosen. Or better yet, carrying a chip on your shoulder, going from man to man and woman to woman, trying to prove why the last one wasn't the right one and why you are better off without them. Ooh, yeah. Let that sizzle in your spirit. Like you literally are giving yourself the opportunity to recognize that whether they stayed or whether they left, yes, it still hurts. Yes, it wasn't expected. Yes, tears may flow. Yes, it may alarm some stuff in you that were laying dormant that you didn't recognize were there until they departed. And now I get an opportunity to realign with my values. I get an opportunity to realign with what really matters. And I get to move forward, continuing to rest in the truth that even though they didn't stay, I have a Father who always stays, who never leaves me nor forsakes me. This gives me the confidence and stability to love again, to try again, but more importantly, to live beyond who I thought I could not live without now that they're gone. I said a lot there, but I've already held you too long. I've already held you too long, and I can't even go further in this, okay? But I hope that this made sense.